Sam Rivers was one of those rare musical forces who didn't just play notes. He challenged what notes could be. A creative visionary, an improvisational genius, and a fearless explorer of sound, Rivers redefined the language of jazz and helped shape its avant-garde edge. His name might not always have been at the top of mainstream charts, but among musicians, he was a beacon, a restless innovator who turned every performance into an experiment in freedom. To understand Sam Rivers is to understand the essence of jazz itself: bold, unpredictable, and deeply human. Born on September 25, 1923, in El Reno, Oklahoma, Samuel Carthorne Rivers came into a world already steeped in music. His parents were both deeply rooted in gospel traditions. His father was a gospel singer who performed with the legendary Fisk Jubilee Singers, and his mother was a pianist and educator. Music, for Sam, wasn't just a pastime. It was the air he breathed. Growing up in Chicago, he absorbed the sounds of blues, big band, and early bebop, the kind of musical melting pot that would later define his eclectic approach. Rivers' early musical journey began with the violin, but he soon found his voice in the tenor saxophone, an instrument that would become an extension of his personality. He studied composition and music theory at the Boston Conservatory, developing a deep academic understanding of harmony and form that would later fuel his more abstract explorations. But what set Rivers apart wasn't just his technical knowledge, it was his daring. He had the rare combination of intellect and instinct, a musician who could follow the rules but preferred to reinvent them. In the 1950s and 60s, as jazz was evolving through bebop and into more experimental territories, Sam Rivers became one of the movement's most adventurous figures. His sound was unpredictable. He could swing hard one moment and explode into free-form improvisation the next. He played with intensity, but also with clarity. Every phrase deliberate, every outburst controlled chaos. His style carried a sense of danger, the feeling that anything could happen at any second, and often did. One of Rivers' defining moments came when he joined the great Miles Davis in 1964. Though their collaboration was brief, it was unforgettable. Miles, ever the visionary, recognized Rivers' unique voice, that mix of intellect and fire that pushed boundaries. But as with many great artists, their creative energies clashed. Rivers was too raw, too unpredictable, too bold for the structured sound Miles was crafting at the time. Yet, even in that short stint, Rivers left a mark, proving that jazz's future lay in the willingness to break free from convention. That same year, he released his debut album, Fuchsia Swing Song, on Blue Note Records, a record that remains one of the most remarkable statements in modern jazz. It was bold and cerebral, with complex compositions that stretched harmony and rhythm to their limits. The album featured a young Tony Williams on drums, Jackie Byard on piano, and Ron Carter on bass, a lineup that perfectly complemented Rivers' fearless approach. The record captured the essence of his musical philosophy, structured enough to have form, free enough to breathe. From that point on, Sam Rivers charted his own course. Through the late 60s and 70s, he became a central figure in the avant-garde jazz movement. He wasn't content to simply play. He built communities. When he moved to New York City, he opened Studio Rivbia with his wife, B. Rivers, in their loft on Bond Street. What started as a simple rehearsal space quickly became one of the most important venues in jazz history. Studio Rivbia became the heart of the loft jazz scene, a place where musicians could perform, experiment, and express without commercial constraints. Legends like David Murray, Anthony Braxton, and Cecil Taylor all found a creative home there. Rivers was not just a performer. He was a mentor, a connector, a cultivator of artistic freedom. He gave younger musicians space to take risks, to fail, to grow, a reflection of his belief that music should be lived, not just played. His sessions at Studio Rivbia were often unpredictable marathons, long, spiritual explorations where time's signatures dissolved, melodies morphed, and rhythm became emotion. He didn't just play music, he summoned it. As the decades passed, Rivers continued to evolve. He played multiple instruments, tenor and soprano sax, flute, piano, and even clarinet, always expanding his vocabulary. His compositions grew increasingly intricate, blending classical influences with free jazz and avant-garde textures. Unlike many artists who mellowed with age, Rivers became more daring. In the 1980s and 1990s, he led the Rivbia Orchestra, a large ensemble that allowed him to stretch his compositional imagination. The group's performances were monumental, loud, layered, alive, embodying his lifelong belief that music was an evolving organism. Yet beneath all the experimentation and brilliance, Sam Rivers was remarkably humble. He didn't crave fame. He craved honesty in sound. To him, success was not about commercial acclaim, but about truth, the ability to express something pure and personal through improvisation. That's why his influence extended far beyond jazz's inner circles. Musicians from all genres admired his courage, his refusal to be boxed in, his unwavering belief in art as exploration. Even in his later years, Rivers never slowed down. After relocating to Orlando, Florida, in the 1990s, he continued composing, performing, and leading big bands. His energy was unrelenting, his creativity boundless. Those who saw him perform late in life often spoke of his vitality, the way his horn still carried that unmistakable fire. He played as if time itself had no power over him, as if every breath he took through his saxophone was defiance against age and limitation. On December 26, 2011, Sam Rivers passed away in Orlando, Florida, at the age of 88 after a battle with pneumonia. The news hit the jazz world hard. Even though he had lived a long, full life, it felt as though an elemental force of music had disappeared. He had spent nearly 9 decades pushing sound into new territories, and in his passing, jazz lost one of its last great explorers. But his spirit, much like his music, could never be silenced. After his death, tributes poured in from musicians around the world, from young improvisers who saw him as a guide, to veterans who had shared stages with him. They spoke of his intellect, his kindness, his dedication to the craft. They remembered the fire in his eyes when he talked about harmony, the way he'd lean into a solo, as if speaking a secret language only the soul could hear. To many, Sam Rivers represented the heart of jazz, not just as a sound, but as a philosophy. His legacy continues to live through the countless artists he inspired and the recordings he left behind. Albums like Contours, Streams, and Crystals remain essential studies in musical courage and imagination. Each one captures a different facet of his genius: the composer, the improviser, the bandleader, the dreamer. His music still feels ahead of its time, a testament to how far his mind reached beyond the conventions of his day. Sam Rivers taught the world that true artistry is fearless, that music isn't meant to be safe. It's meant to question, to provoke, to move. He believed that the role of the artist was to explore the unknown, to stand at the edge of sound and take one more step forward. And that's exactly what he did, from his first note to his last. Sam Rivers may be gone, but his echoes remain, in the lofts where jazz still breathes, in the horns of those who dare to experiment, and in the hearts of listeners who crave the raw, unfiltered truth of sound. He left us with more than music. He left us with permission to be bold, to be honest, and to never stop exploring. Rest in power, Sam Rivers. The music you gave the world wasn't just heard, it was felt, and it will continue to resonate endlessly wherever freedom and creativity meet.